Did you know that your superannuation balance isn't automatically covered under your will in the event that you pass away? There's some important steps that you need to take to make sure that your balance is paid to the beneficiary of your choice in the event that you pass away. The reason that your superannuation balance isn't automatically covered under your will is that your super balance is actually held on trust for you by the superannuation trustee, which is your super fund. Your will only cover assets that you own individually, like maybe your home, your bank account, or an investment property. In some cases, we might not just be talking about your super balance. Where you've got insurance that is owned by your super fund and the premium is paid out of your super balance, those insurance proceeds will actually increase your super balance in the event that you pass away. And that increased super balance is then also not covered by your will. You do have some options to direct your super fund on how to pay your account balance. The first one is make a nomination of beneficiaries or a preferred nomination. So that's where you're telling your super fund that this is where I'd like my balance to go. It's not binding on the trustee, so the trustee still can make a different decision. However, the trustee is informed of your preference. The next one would be a binding death benefit nomination. So as the name suggests, it's binding on the trustee. So it's legally binding that that super fund needs to pay your benefit in accordance with that nomination. On the nomination, you can put your will so that your super balance is distributed in accordance with what your will says, or you can put a financial dependent such as your child or your spouse. You don't have to put a nomination on your super fund. In the event that you choose not to, then that super fund has discretion on where to pay your balance. By not having a nomination on your super fund, the fund can only pay your benefit out to a limited number of people. So it can pay out to a dependent, which might be your spouse or your children, or it could pay to somebody who you're in a financially dependent relationship with, or it could pay out to your will and then be distributed in accordance with that. Now, ordinarily you might be okay with that because it's still being paid to the people that you would want it to be paid to. However, consider if your super fund paid unequally to each of your children. And maybe one of those children proves to the super fund that they have more of a need for the money. You might not be okay with that, and not having a binding nomination means that you lose control. Now we've talked about who your superannuation balance can be paid to, let's talk about how it can be paid. So on death, your super balance, including any insurance proceeds, can be paid as a lump sum to a beneficiary. So it can be paid as a lump sum to your spouse, to your children, or to the estate, as we've talked about. It can only be paid as a pension in certain circumstances. So your super balance can be paid as a pension to your spouse or to your children who are under 18 years of age, or to any children who are under 25 years of age and still financially dependent. It can only be paid to children over the age of 25 if they are permanently disabled. So your options are limited when wanting to pay a pension from super in the event of death. In some circumstances, your beneficiaries will pay tax on your superannuation balance. Adult children over the age of 18 who are not financially dependent will pay tax, whereas a spouse who is financially dependent won't pay tax. There are some strategies that we can employ to help you make sure that your estate is distributed tax effectively. Our preference is to see binding death benefit nominations on superannuation accounts. This provides the most control of how your balance is going to be distributed in the event that you pass away. Get in contact with us to discuss your personal circumstances and what's appropriate for you.